Hello again and welcome back to my channel where we are always diving into more Unity stuff. A few days ago I was watching someone playing a game called Surrounded, and one feature that drew my attention was the hold to interact, and I was thinking, how can we implement this in Unity? Now, you've probably seen this exact feature in other games like Fortnite, Sea of Thieves, Sons of the Forest, and Raft, and I think many more games are using this feature as well. So today, this is exactly what we are going to build. Okay, of course, we need a project to work with. So this is my project. I have nothing special here, just a simple empty project. All right, now inside the hierarchy, I want you to create a new image. So UI canvas image, and you name it whatever you want. Now you disable the image component, it is just a reference, and create an UI image as a child of this object and name it mask. Now import to the project the fill image that I am providing you in the description. And to make things more organized, I will put it inside a new folder called images. Select the imported image in the project and change the texture type to sprite. Make the sprite mode single, pixels per unit 64, uncheck the generate physics shape, filter mode change to point and compression to none. Apply and drag the image to the mask in the source image field. Add the component mask and set the alpha in the color component to be 1. Right-click in the mask object and select Create UI Image to create an image as a child of the mask. Name it as Fill, and add the same fill sprite we used for the mask. Set the image type to Filled, and if you use the Fill Amount slider, you should see a preview. If you want, you can change the fill origin to be the top. For the stroke, create an image at the same level of the mask and name it Stroke. Move it above the mask, and import to the project the stroke sprite that I'm providing in the description. Do the same setup in the sprite as we did before. And now drag the sprite to the stroke image source. If you need, change the width and height to make it fit correctly. If you want, you can change the alpha for different results. At the same level of the mask and the stroke, add a Text Mesh Pro text, and of course import the TMP essentials if you need. And change the text as you want. For the example, I will set the F to represent the key needed to press. Now we can duplicate the text object, and the top one will be rendered behind as the text shadow. Of course, if you want, you can rename it to make it more organized. Centralize the text horizontally and vertically. Set the font size to 34, make it bold, and change the shadow text color to black. Alright, now I am adding a bit of offset in the X and Y position only for the shadow. And I am also adding an outline to the text. And I'm setting this value to 1, and also to make it look better, under the face section we have the dilate parameter, and also set this to 1. It will look a bit cooler. Now we are going to code the behavior to fill the bar when we hold the interact key. For this I am using the not so new input system. The idea is really simple. Using the unit input system, we can bind different raw inputs to what we call actions. For example, an interact action in our game can happen when we press the F key in the keyboard. But the same interaction can be binded to the X button if you are using the joystick controller. And in the input system, when we are binding those inputs to the action, we can add an interactor. That is basically a modifier that will trigger only if the user is holding. Under the hood, what really matters to us are two events, performed and cancelled. Performed will trigger after we hold the button, and cancel will trigger every time we release the button, even after the performed action happened. With those two events, all we need to do is to control the fill amount of the radio image. Let's do it. Start by creating a folder and name it scripts. And under this folder, create a new monobehavior script and name it whatever you want. Now we can add this script to the parent object of our interact system. Now open the script and let's remove all the unnecessary boilerplate. First, we will need a variable of type input action. I'm naming it underscore interact action. Now, in the onEnable event of the monobehavior, we want to enable this action. And most importantly, we want to subscribe to the performed event by creating a new method. I am naming it the onInteractPerformed. To keep our memory healthy, let's unsubscribe from the same event in the onDisable event. And just for sanity check, let's just add a debug log when this method is called so we can see that everything is working correctly. And we will do the same thing when the cancelled event is triggered from the input action. Same thing, let's add a debug log, save the test, and hit the play to see what's going on. And of course, one thing that I forgot is the binding. We are going to do it directly in the script component to keep it simple for you to understand. To do it, in the inspector with the script selected, click the gear icon inside the interact action field and change the action type to button. Then click the plus icon, select add binding, click the listen button and press the key that you want to be binded. And in the interactions section, hit the plus button to add an interaction and select the hold. By default, you need to hold 0.4 seconds to trigger, but here I am changing it to 1 second. And now in play mode, when I press the F key, I see the debug log is appearing, and when I release is also appearing. So we have everything that we need, we are good to go. Now it's just a matter of changing the sprite fill amount to make this complete. Now, back in the code, we grab an image reference of the sprite that we want to control the fill amount. I'm naming it underscore interaction bar. Now, the trick is to set the fill amount of the image with the value of the method getTimeoutCompletion% from the interact action. It will be increasing while the phase is started. And finally, we can set the fill amount to 1 when the interaction is performed and 0 when it's cancelled. Don't forget to assign the interaction bar with the fill image. And now you have the coolest hold to interact system in the town. Congratulations!
If you really want to dive deeper into game development, I strongly suggest you take a look at my work. I have excellent courses for both beginners and advanced developers. With over a decade of experience in Unity, I am pretty sure you will find an interesting project on my Udemy page, packed with clear, simple, and thoughtful explanations and analogies. And of course, I also provide one-to-one lessons that you can easily find on my LinkedIn page. Thank you very much for your time. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to boost this channel and receive more and more quality content.